And the environment was equal to pollution. We didn't care in the developing countries about pollution at that time.
We realized from the beginning that this had to be a program of the entire United Nations.
And those 4 resolutions basically were finally adopted. 95% of them were adopted by the conference in Stockholm. And so UNEP was launched by the General Assembly on December 15, 1972.
I have been studying UNEP for decades. Once, like many academics, I advocated that governments should upgrade it to a specialized agency, like the World Health Organization. After poring over the archives of the meetings leading up to UNEP's founding and interviewing those involved, however, I changed my mind. UNEP, I found, was not deficient by design. Its mandate was ambitious, its structure was nimble, its financing flexible.
It was established with a governing council that designs policy, governments design policy. And then it was required to coordinate, catalyze, and activate the whole UN system into doing things.
Good discussions, a lot of new ideas and proposals on the table.
I set out to discover how and why UNEP had performed and what could be improved. To answer these questions, I connected with the founders, the leaders, and the staff of UNEP. Their narratives informed the untold story that I share in this book. In 2009, we convened a rare gathering, the Global Environmental Governance Forum in Glion, Switzerland. We gathered 80 environmental leaders in Glion, including emerging environmental leaders, to reflect on the past and envision the future.
This is UNEP. This is global environmental governance. All of you had a leadership position at one time, or you will at some point in the future. We have tried to gather here the past, the present, and the future.
Yes.
The forum brought together for the first and now only time all 5 consecutive executive directors of UNEP until that date: Maurice Strong, Mustafa Toba, Elizabeth Dowdeswell, Klaus Topfer, and Achim Steiner.
The very first one is, what is it that member states want? Do they want an organization that is a sustainable development organization, or do they want an organization that is an environmental organization with the responsibility for making environmental input into the broader sustainable development question?
That the current economic crisis and the environmental crisis, these actually have their roots in the same thing.
2 things have happened in the past 30 years or so. One is the proliferation of multilateral environmental treaties.
The green economy has arrived. The question is, will those who, in a sense, have a vested interest in the current economy, in the current energy infrastructure, in the current transport system, because they've invested in it, they've chosen certain technology, will we allow them to hold us back?
Maurice Strong and Mustafa Toba shared their stories about UNEP's first 20 years, when the institution evolved from an idea about a small catalytic body to an institution that had to claim its rightful place at the UN table. And so it did.
And the 4th is to have a special session of the General Assembly.
Ambassador John MacDonald, was the secretary of the US delegation to Stockholm and recounted the original vision for a new international environmental organization and the decisions on UNEP's location in Nairobi.
13 nations stepped forward and said, we would like the Secretariat located in our capital city. Now, there were 6 developed countries and 7 developing countries.
We listened also to the stories of Bill Ruckelshaus, the first administrator of the US Environmental Protection Agency.
They were big polluters. They were very visible. They were not supported by the public in what they were doing. So going after them in the courts to enforce the standards was relatively easy.
We listened also to the stories of Jim McNeil, the Secretary General of the 1987 Brundtland Commission. We learned about a complex institutional landscape and about an ambitious vision. We also heard of limited capacity, strained connectivity, missed opportunities, but we witnessed courage and leadership. These statesmen have now passed. Their stories, however, live on. This book is in memory of the women and men who have passed and who, with imagination and courage, created the system of global environmental governance. We carry on your light.